प्राणः परो व्यक्तात् अण्डमव्ययसम्भवम् अण्डस्यान्तस्त्रिमे लोकाः सप्तद्वीपा च मेदिनी ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 verse chapter 2, of course, verse 31. स्वधर्ममपि चावेक्ष्य न विकम्पितुमर्हसि धर्म्याद्धियुद्धात् श्रेयोऽन्यत् क्षत्रियस्य न विद्यते स्वधर्ममपि चावेक्ष्य न विकम्पितुमर्हसि धर्म्याद्धियुद्धात् श्रेयोऽन्यत् क्षत्रियस्य न विद्यते. We'll also chant the next few because they all belong to the same jati. Yadrichhaya chopapannam swargadvaramapavritam sukhinah kshatriyah partha labhante yuddhamidrisham. Yadrichhaya chopapannam swargadvaramapavritam सुखिनः क्षत्रियाः पार्थ लभन्ते युद्धमीदृशम् अथ चेत्त्वमिमं धर्म्यं सङ्ग्रामं न करिष्यसि ततः स्वधर्मं कीर्तिं च हित्वा पापमवाप्स्यसि अथ चेत्त्वमिमं धर्म्यं सङ्ग्रामं न करिष्यसि ततः स्वधर्मं कीर्तिं च हित्वा पापमवाप्स्यसि अकीर्तिं चापि भूतानि कथयिष्यन्ति ते व्ययाम् सम्भावितस्य चाकीर्तिः मरणादतिरिच्यते अकीर्तिं चापि भूतानि कथयिष्यन्ति ते व्ययाम् सम्भावितस्य चाकीर्तिः मरणादतिरिच्यते भयाद्रणादुपरतं मंस्यन्ते त्वां महारथाः येषां च त्वं बहुमतः भूत्वा यास्यसि लाघवम् भयाद्रणादुपरतं मंस्यन्ते त्वां महारथाः येषां च त्वं बहुमतः भूत्वा यास्यसि लाघवम् अवाच्यवादांश्च बहून् वदिष्यन्ति तवाहिताः निन्दन्तस्तव सामर्थ्यं ततो दुःखतरन्नु किम् अवाच्यवादांश्च बहून् वदिष्यन्ति तवाहिताः निन्दन्तस्तव सामर्थ्यं ततो दुःखतरन्नु किम् हतो वा प्राप्स्यसि स्वर्गं जित्वा वा भोक्ष्यसे महीम् तस्मादुत्तिष्ठ कौन्तेय युद्धाय कृतनिश्चयः हतो वा प्राप्स्यसि स्वर्गं जित्वा वा भोक्ष्यसे महीम् तस्मादुत्तिष्ठ कौन्तेय युद्धाय कृतनिश्चयः. So this is all coming under the same genre of the discussion. That's why I got this, I thought we would chant it all together. So we have a kind of a map of where we are and what exactly we are looking at. And so verses from verse, which verse is this? 31. 31 to 37 comes to, it belongs to a particular topic, a topic that we are going to be able to see in detail. And this topic is called the topic of Swadharma. Generally speaking, it is Swadharma. And specifically looking at looking at the war from the standpoint of the person who is not willing to fight. Who is that? Arjun. Not wanting to fight, not willing to fight at all. So, from the standpoint of that war, we are looking at an unwilling person who is not ready to fight due to some subjective problems. It's not because he did not want the war, as I have mentioned many, many times. There is some subjective issues and problems that have not been sorted out, and that is why he doesn't want to fight. It's not that he is a pacifist. Otherwise, for 12 years, he would not be chafing and wanting this war badly and doing everything to prepare for this war. For the 12 years they were in the forest, the Pandavas were the most bloodthirsty lot. They really were wanting this war. And in that time, Arjuna even went to heaven, went to Kailasa, and got this special favor from Lord Shiva. Pashupatastra. Pashupatastra is some kind of a very powerful missile. It's just like now, so many wars are there all over the world, and then one country, fighting for let's say, fighting for democracy. Ukraine comes to United States and says, "Please give us a powerful missile," and USA says, "Okay, okay, here take because you are fighting something that is dear to our heart, democracy. So you can take this." And so, just like that, Lord Shiva, I mean, he went to Lord Shiva and said, "These people cannot be vanquished. I really want to fight this war properly and I want to win. It's not just about fighting, I want to win. So give me something right now that will help me win." And Lord Shiva said, "Okay, take this." And so, he has stockpiled all these celestial missiles, and he has also stockpiled mantra powered missiles, all kinds of things. And these people were sitting on the powder, keeping it dry, and they were keeping the powder dry, so to speak, for the last how many years? 12 years, 13 if you count the, what is that called? If you count the Ajnatavasa. And then suddenly he's not wanting to fight a war. This is very suspicious. It's like a child who is very excited to go back to school shopping and went and chose the lunch box and school uniform and decided what to wear and what to have and notebooks and everything. And then what? On the day when the school going day arrived, first day at school, just suddenly developed a stomachache, so-called stomachache. And so this is exactly Arjuna's predicament. There are some emotional issues. And so the Lord knows that emotional issues do not respond to Vedanta. Yo, what am I doing here? I thought Vedanta removes fear. That's an emotional issue. And Vedanta removes sorrow. That is also the last time I checked. That was also an emotional issue. And so now you're telling me that the Vedanta doesn't remove emotional issues, it doesn't help. What is this? Well, no, it helps with garden variety emotional issues. When one is able to understand that, when one is able to kind of rise above the sorrow and see that it is a universal predicament, one is able to rise above the fear, above the strife, above this inner duality, the conflict, etc. One is able to rise above and see very carefully that this is and with discrimination, viveka, that this is a universal issue and I am also in the same universal predicament. And so, and when one is able to see that, that means there is a willingness to not embrace the sorrow and lull it and put it to bed and feed it, a feeding bottle and nourish it and make it grow. So there is a commitment. So the commitment here is to get rid of the sorrow by not really trying to put a band-aid on the sorrow itself, but by understanding that it is a universal predicament and the cause of it is Atma Ajnanam. Therefore, I'm going to take care of self-ignorance. That kind of a sorrow it will remove. And that kind of a fear it will remove. But not as long as the person is invested in that sorrow. As long as the person is reproducing and rehearsing the sorrow, not wanting to reverse it, but keep on rehearsing it through various, through various outlets in the Jagat. And the outlets to rehearse the sorrow in the Jagat, in the world are many, many, many out. There are so many outlets. You just join a support group that tells everything. Everyone's, that's why it's called sad sang or sad sang. So the sad ones came and sang. Because this is how in America they don't know how to say sad sang. Sad sang. I'm going to a sad sang. You sat and you sang and then you cried and came back. That's what it is. So it doesn't, these kinds of the worldly means that one deploys does not remove it may remove the symptoms, but it does not remove the cause. And the cause is I don't know how glorious I am. I don't know that I am 100% free of that which I mourn. I'm free of sorrow, I'm free of fear, I'm free of anger. But yet, there are situations in the Jagat where I succumb to all this. And that's okay. But then the problem is that one succumbs to that because one takes it to be real. That is the problem. So the whole project of Atma Jnanam, Brahma Vidya, self-knowledge, is to walk the I notion, the ahankara, from embracing these emotional babies and making them grow up, giving them all kinds of protein and everything, and making them, pushta, meaning making them strong, to looking at to looking at how the I is totally free. So you walk that I notion from misidentifying with the body, with the mind, with the emotions, and walk it over to Brahman. That is the purpose of the Gita. That is how the Gita proceeds. You just have to hold the finger of the Mother Shruti and she will walk you, help you cross samsara. The road is samsara with a lot of busy traffic. And so Mother Shruti will hold your hand and help you cross. There is no doubt about that. And so in the process of this crossing, the problem of self-ignorance has to be dealt with on many, many fronts. Of course, the only front that is needed for the knowledge to take place is the Paramarthika standpoint. Paramarthika means to reveal the fact that the self is totally free from sorrow. So, Arjuna, why are you crying? And this was already done up till verse 30. The Paramarthika standpoint was completely taken care of. The Atma is free of any kind of destruction. So you are worried about death. Atma is free of death. And Atma means you, okay? It's not something you have kept in a showcase or something. So you are free of death. You are free of birth. You are, you are free of being destroyed by any of the five elements. You are free, you are not subject to any kind of a destruction at any time. You are eternal. You never come to an end. So do not be afraid of death, because that's happening on a, do not be afraid of killed, all these things. That's happening on a different level. It's not happening here. It's not really happening because this is Satyam and Mithya, the as though reality is what it is. It is as though. So don't get stuck up in the as though reality. Emerge from it. Walk with me. So that invitation was already given. And from the standpoint of the absolute reality, the entire Gita Shastra, the entire vision of the entire vision of the Bhagavad Gita was totally and fully given already. Now, then what? Then this second level of understanding is now going to be attempted by Lord Krishna. And what is the second level? The level of the everyday. which is the reason why we all love the Bhagavad Gita, because it doesn't give all these big abstractions. It doesn't stop at abstractions. It makes it more relevant to you right now, right here, what you are. Just fascinating. It makes it more relevant right now. And so here, what is Arjuna's predicament? He is he is not wanting, he's having resistance and not wanting to fight a war. Why not? If you look at why not, you get the reason very clearly. Because there is a sense of identification with those that are supposed to be on the other side. The people that you are fighting against, you think belong in your camp. That's why he is not able to do that. They are all mamakaha. Mamakaha means my people. The word my is associated with the enemy camp here. And so he is not able to pick up his bow. It has slipped out of his hand. Because these are all my people. Why? I just went and had coffee with Duryodhana just the other day. Yes, he was trying to put a few drops of poison and I stopped him, but so what? He's my cousin. He's my brother. I mean, this is how it is. I already told you, he has Stockholm syndrome. This is how it is. This is how it is when you start making excuses for the people who are oppressing you. That means that the abuse has gone beyond the ken of logical understanding. The emotions and the reaction of the victim, the victimized person, the traumatized person has gone beyond reasoning. Because logically you cannot explain. Why will someone stick up for somebody who is treating them so badly? And then, but this is what there is trauma, there is also something, so there is PTSD. What does that stand for? I always forget. Something, whatever, but you know what it is. And then on top of that, there is also CPTSD, childhood PTSD, or complex PTSD. And so remember that these cousins all grew up together. And Duryodhana was a challenge right since childhood. He was caught trying to mangle a bird for no reason at all. I mean, it's one thing to go hunting, and some of the royal sports are like that. But that has at least some kind of a social, cultural sanction. Everybody goes in a pack, and then you take your bow and arrow, and then you shoot something, and then you bring it as a spoil, or you go fishing. Those are all some kind of they have a social sanction, and that's how it was in those days. But this is not a hunting expedition. He would just go by himself, catch a bird with his bare hands, and throttle it just for the sake of it. So we are talking of a psychopath. We are talking of a sociopath. We are talking of a person with, very likely narcissistic personality disorder and some kind of a grandiose idea of what it is. We are talking of someone who is a sadist. And so to think that this person is mine and belongs to me, and without him, and all this Arjuna had said, without him I can't live. Without all of them, I can't enjoy the kingdom. Why live? Why not just become a sannyasi? Why not give up everything? He has got what is called graveyard vairagya, smashana vairagya. He wants to give up everything rather than fight this war. So now, Lord Krishna being who he is, meaning very, very, very clever to the point of being wily, all for the sake of helping this fellow. This deluded Arjuna needs help really badly. And so he's being very wily now, and he's showing something which is so wonderful. He's going to try a very different tack. And what is this tack? It's a sneak attack. Okay, and this tag is a sneak attack. And what is this? What does he do? He appeals to two things. First thing he appeals to is the ego of a warrior. The last thing that a soldier wants to hear is that you are not brave. Oh no, of course I'm brave. You're a coward. Oh, who said that? Let them come to me. I'll show them what kind of a coward is. they think I have. I'll send them straight to Lord Shiva. I'll give them instant moksha. Let them appear. Let them dare to appear in front of me. Who said that? This is, this is how this is the soldier's thinking. The soldier's thinking is very interesting. The soldier's psychology, Lord Krishna is applying right. So the soldiers, so two kinds, it's a two-pronged approach from verses 31 to 37. And first I'm going to give the broad strokes and then we'll see each verse. It will go very quickly. So 31 to 37, there is a two-pronged approach. The first approach is just this. It is understanding that this is this, they appealing to the soldier psychology, the crown prince psychology. In other words, the Kshatriya psychology. So, Kshatriya means the one who protects. That's what it means. Kshatriya is the one who protects. What? Others. That is their whole bread and butter. That is where their reputation lies. That is their idea of who they are. That is their identity. They live to protect others even at the cost of their lives. It's not just, they just are there and they are, as soon as some dangerous thing happens, they just stand and not intervene. Like recently we heard in some school shooting, all the people were there. The Kshatriyas were assembled. The so-called Kshatriyas were assembled, but they, for some reason, there was some misunderstanding or I don't know what happened, but they did not intervene for over an hour, where the children are getting massacred. Though those are not the Kshatriyas that are there here in the ancient times. That's not the kind of Kshatriyas that we are talking about. Here we are talking of Kshatriyas who are ready to die. In fact, it's a glory for the Kshatriya to die in battle. Such people are, what is that called? Immortalized. They are seen as forever alive. And the wives that they leave behind are seen as, they are not considered widows at all. This is the culture. They are not considered widows because the person has become immortalized in their courage and bravery. So the people consoling the person, consoling the family, say he has not really left. He has not left and gone. He is very much here in our hearts, in our minds. And here we are upholding him as permanently alive. This is the understanding. And so therefore, he appeals to the soldier psychology, thinking that, the other, Brahma Vidya obviously went above Arjuna's head. Oh, why did it go above Arjuna's head? Because he was preoccupied with this. Oh, but wasn't he listening? He was listening. He was listening. But listening is one thing and assimilating is quite another. He was hearing what what Lord Krishna had to say, but he wasn't convinced. He wasn't convinced that, I just have to enter the Paramarthika mode and all this discomfort in my heart and this pain and this sorrow will go away. Yeah, right. That's what he was telling himself. He was not convinced at all about any of this. And so this two-pronged approach is going to be tried. The first one by the Lord, the first one is appealing to his soldier psychology. And the soldier psychology has to do with all these things that we have talked about, dying in the war, living for other people. That is part A of soldier psychology. Part B of soldier psychology is also very interesting. It is to not be criticized by others. So those who are warriors, you can criticize them because maybe they have very bad table manners. That's a different thing. But you cannot criticize them for not knowing how to fight. And the worst thing that one can be criticizing a warrior for is what is called dereliction of duty, dereliction of the war. leaving leaving the war behind. You're supposed to stand there and fight. And here instead, what have you done? You have left the war behind. And so for that, one cannot handle that kind of a criticism. Ever. One cannot handle that. And so this is the second part B of the soldier psychology, and to which Arjuna is going to Lord Krishna is going to appeal to that, to those things. So this is the first pronged approach, appealing to his sense of righteousness, the righteous war, and all these things, and appealing to his sense of shame about leaving the war. That is all coming in this section. And then the other pronged approach is called Swadharma. Swadharma is a very big thing. At least it was in the ancient times. Even now we see the remnants of this concept of Swadharma in the hearts of people in India, or those who have grown up here. That Swadharma concept is very difficult to remove. And it is frequently translated into English as duty. I have a duty. One is born like this. One is born to think of oneself like this. I have duty towards the people who gave birth to me. Towards the parents, there are certain duties. Towards the ancestors, because if the ancestors were not there, where will the parents come from? So, towards the ancestors who helped craft this body mind sense complex, there is a sense of duty. Duty is a kind of a gratitude, but then it's a kind of a gratitude powered by action. It's not just saying, oh, thank you for this body, wonderful, okay, bye. No, that's not what it is. It's a lifelong understanding, keeping that gratitude alive. That's why we don't have a word for thank you. As soon as you say thank you, you feel like you're done. But in our Shastra, the word is Kritagnyata. Kritam janati. So that which is done for me, I know. I know what you have done for me, and I'm not going to forget as long as there is breath in this body. And so the duty towards the Pitru means ancestors. And that every year they are remembered for this 15 days, and then all kinds of oblations are given. Oblation means one gives a little bit of one's good karma to them, so that they have a good life wherever they are. They might be in the Pitraloka, the ancestral realm. They might be in some kind of a Swarga, some kind of a heaven-like realm. And so, what are these obligations? So if I do some tarpana means some kind of an offering. And so this tarpanam I do, and then this offering I give. And then what happens as a result of this offering? Maybe if they have been allotted a small house in heaven, they'll get a bungalow because of my offering some tarpanam. This is nice. And I'm not losing anything. And I can always get more good karma. You see, in all the other realms, you cannot manufacture punya. That's why the human life is very, very special. Even animal life, you can't manufacture, you cannot earn punya. You cannot do good deeds. Oh, but the dog, brought the newspaper from the outside to the inside. Is it not a good deed? There is no free will there. It is trained, it is programmed to bring the shoes and the without eating it, okay, to bring the shoes without chewing, and to bring the newspaper without mangling it. Yes, it may be a good deed, but the thing is it doesn't get any punya, because those are all bhoga shariras. Similarly, the departed souls who are in heaven, who are in various these kinds of realms, they are also have sukshma sharira, which is bhoga sharira. They are all bhoktas in heaven, etc. And they are not kartas. And so, therefore, only in the human body you can be both a producer and a consumer of your deeds, of your good deeds. This is wonderful. bad deeds also, but let's keep the topic light and nice. And so you reap you have the ability to manufacture, to produce this punya, and then to reap its rewards either in this or other realms. And so this is something which is extremely important, because understanding this is the key to understanding these the next few verses. So this punya, and the soldier's punya is dying in the battlefield. Dying in the battlefield gets a lot of punya. And so, what is the connection between Swadharma and Punya? So, the doing of Swadharma, a Swadharma that is well done, one's duties nicely performed, give Punya. That is the connection. One's duties which are nicely performed give Punya. That is wonderful. And then, one's duties badly performed or not performed at all, what happens? Papa, the opposite of punya, bad karma, bad, what is that? The uncomfortable situations that one has to endure in the here or the hereafter as a result of that. So this is how the person is connected with a sense of duty. And this duty is important because that is how the culture is. So one has duty towards the Pitru, and then one has duty towards Bhagavan, Ishvara, God. So then then one has duty towards other fellow beings. And this is called Manushya Yajna. You can't just live like a hog and just take from society. You have some duties towards the neighbor, and towards the friend, and those duties are different. They're all defined by social principles, but those duties are there towards the co-worker, towards the boss, towards whatever is happening, towards relatives. So there are certain, you can't just live in a vacuum. You interact, and that also brings in certain obligations and duties. Then finally, you have duties towards all other living beings that are not in human form, other bhutas. You have duties towards also the five elements and bhautikas, elementals, things that have come out of five elements like trees and other animals, etc. You have duty towards them too, because they are in a slightly compromised position, because they cannot express pain, they cannot express sorrow, they cannot express want. So you give something to them. So like this, Deva Yajna, Manushya Yajna, Pitru Yajna, Bhuta Yajna. And so like this, there are all these sacred ways in which you are connected to the whole scheme of things. One is never born alienated. And the culture makes sure that you grow up connected. You grow up watering the tree and having a relationship with it from its planthood. Like this, so many things, it grows up with you. It's your friend. And, so this is how it is. And you have an altar at home. You take care of the altar. You nurse the altar. You nourish the altar. And all this we will be seeing in detail. This is what is called the social ecology, or the cosmic ecology. We'll be seeing this in chapter 3. And so verses 10 to 14 or so, something of chapter 3, unveils this particular way in which one's duties towards all these entities connects one to one's life and makes sure one has a conflict-free, strife-free life and a happy life, especially in the day-to-day. Devan bhavayatanena te deva bhavayantu bha parasparam bhavayantah shreyah paramavapsyat. Like this, there is a series of verses starting with this. Saha yajñah praja srishtva purovachah prajapatihi anena prasavishyadvam. Eshavo Tishta Kamadhuk. It's almost as Lord Brahmaji said when he created this universe and when he created human beings. He is supposed to have said, here I'm giving you, along with this universe, a wish fulfilling cow. Milk it and be happy. What is this wish fulfilling cow? This wish fulfilling cow is none other than the Veda, where these duties are outlined, where what to do is outlined, where what not to do is outlined, where how to lead one's life and what are the duties towards various entities in one's life. All of them are outlined. And so this is what to this is what one has to follow. And this is a wish fulfilling cow because it generates punya in the long run, and in the short run one can go to sleep well knowing that one has led a responsible and accountable life, not a life just full of whimsies and fancies and flippancies, not a life of just chasing a pipe dream at the cost of other people. It's a responsible and interconnected life. So, therefore, there is no sense of alienation from oneself because there are duties towards oneself. There is no alienation from duties towards others. So, no alienation from oneself, no alienation from other jivas, no alienation from the jagat. And connection to the jagat includes taking care of all the things there. And then finally, no alienation from Ishvara, because you're offering these duties as in the spirit of worship to the Lord. Worship doesn't mean just standing in your in your house or sitting in your house and doing something, some puja. That is one form of worship perhaps, but here this form of worship is very, very potent. And this form of worship is just your own work. What you are supposed to do, you do well and you offer it to Bhagavan. This is what is called Swadharma. And this Swadharma keeps you connected to Vishesha Dharma, the iteration of Dharma in terms of what is appropriate, inappropriate, and to Samanya Dharma, the universal Dharma, the matrix of norms, the universal matrix of norms that everybody follows informally. Of course, many of them are codified into law, but many of them are not. And then the only way to assure that the other person is dharmic to you is by being dharmic yourself. So it's a life of dharma. A life of dharma is necessarily a life of sacrifice. You give up all your pet desires and pet peeves in order to be this beautiful human being. In order to be connected, some things have to give. And one of the things have to give is to your ragadveshas. They are given up, they are given over in the interest of doing what is right. Once, a small child in my presence asked Pujya Swamiji, what is your favorite thing to do? She had to do a little interview with a Swami and then for some Bal Vihar project. And then so she said, can I interview you? She was just 6, 7 years old. Yes. Okay, so first question, what are your favorite things to do? What is your most favorite thing to do? And Swamiji's answer was wonderful. He said, I can't do everything that I like, so I have learned to like whatever it is that I have to do. This is where it is. So the raga and dvesha have dovetailed and subserved the duty. Whatever you're supposed to do, you start enjoying and loving. That is a successful human life. Whatever you're not supposed to do, you no longer find attractive. This is after some tussle, inner tussle, that's okay. Little Kurukshetra happening there, fireworks inside and upset, it's okay. But this is the trajectory of the growth. And so this Swadharma is extremely important because that is how the whole society is structured, even now. And so therefore it's a duty-based society. Whereas in the West we have a rights-based society. There's a very big difference. So in a rights-based society, one is always wanting. Why? Because one is a victim. Why is one a victim? One is a victim because you have to keep on carrying a begging bowl and beg the others. Like, oh, I need my rights. I want my rights. You're like a tantruming child having a tantrum. You have to keep on having lawsuits and approach the state to protect your rights. And you are disgruntled when your rights are violated. The West is a rights-based society. Because of all these writings, the post-enlightenment, whatever that means. So writings by these Hobbes, Locke, Rousseau, all these things, this is what has given birth to this kind of a society, because these kinds of philosophers were all about individual growth, individual rights, and individual fulfillment. So, if you're talking of individual rights and individual likes and dislikes and individual fulfillments, one will, one will never, that will never, that's a discussion that will never get exhausted, because there are so many individuals, and each individual has so many preferences, so many objects of dislike. So, if you are looking from that standpoint, it is a never ending battle, because you're all the time trying to fulfill something which cannot be fulfilled. Because how can you fight for every single thing? For every single thing, you have to go to the state. You have to codify it into law, and then the bodies of parliament have to pass it, and then it has to be signed by the president, prime minister, whoever the head of the state. And then there is one Supreme Court, and then that will have its own set of how it goes. And then it can easily overturn. If you think it's a law, but then it can easily be overturned. When the climate changes, it can be overturned. Just one strike, one signature, one stroke of the pen, it can be overturned, and nobody can do anything about it. And so, like this is the problem in rights-based societies. But in a duty-based society, it's a win-win situation, because my duty towards you automatically becomes your right. Your duty towards me becomes my right. And so, if one is focusing on the duty, the agency is in your hands. You're not supplicating to somebody else, oh, protect my right, protect my right, protect my right. You are doing you are participating in life by doing what you need to do. And that itself triggers a universal law that I just quoted from chapter 3. And what is that universal law? I'll put it in the way that Pujya Swamiji used to say: give the world the best you have, and the best will come back to you. And then you say, right, when? It doesn't matter, don't go there. That's the suspicious, that's the suspicious nature talking. That is the samshaya talking. Somewhere we have to have some shraddha, or whatever it is, some shraddha should be there. And if one is able to look at this statement that in the performance of my duty, it's a win-win situation. First, for two reasons. First, it inspires others to, it inspires others. How does it inspire others? It inspires others to do their duty nicely. But then what if it doesn't? If you get all riled up, yeah, I'm the only one that is good. I'm the only one that has to do the right thing. I'm the only one that is to give up everything. And nobody does anything for me. Sounds like you are the youngest child of the family. Okay. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Childhood issue. This is not the Bhagavad Gita. This is not the Veda. That can be loved up. The feeling like, oh, nobody listens to me, and I have to be the one who gives up everything. I'm the one wearing hand-me-downs. Everybody got new clothes, and I'm the one who got only clothes that were all too big for me all the time. This is not what we are talking about. That is some kind of a, emotional issue, and I'm not putting that, I'm not putting it down. It needs to be. It is worthy of being looked into and loved up. No problem. But here the discussion is on a different realm. Here the discussion is on duty, is to be able to be the leader here in doing what you're supposed to do. And even if the other person doesn't respond, it's not that you're a victim. You have choices. Don't be in that relationship. Walk away. You have that choice. Walk away. Oh, how can I walk away? Okay, then let's go to part two of what how the duty, is a doing of the duty is a wish fulfilling cow. So what is part two? Part two is something fascinating. Part two means you are growing. Even if the other person doesn't do their part, you are engineering a lot of self growth. Why? Because when the other person doesn't give back, then there is what? Disappointment, there is anger, there is fear, there is a sense of insecurity, and all these are wonderful gifts. Oh, you call insecurity a gift? Absolutely. That is what brings many people to Vedanta. The understanding that I am insecure is what brings people to Vedanta. Yes, it's a gift. So you take all those things. You take the insecurity, you take the sorrow, you take the dejection, the rejection, the disappointment, and work with it. Work with it, so that it does not. So the duty overrides the emotions, and it does not bother you anymore. You work with it, and how to work with it is it's sheer karma yoga. You offer up the disappointment onto the altar that is Lord Krishna. You offer it all up, and then you ask for healing, and then you continue to do what you need to do. If you cannot leave, or you choose not to leave, because how many things can you keep on leaving? And then these things, have a way, karma has a way of chasing you to the ends of the earth. So you may leave the marriage, and then what? And then you get married again. The same kind of spouse in a different body comes. Same mind, but in a different body comes. You have to deal with the same issues. This is what happens. You leave the job, and then what? You get to another job. Same kind of boss. Control freak. One is blessed with a control freak for the boss, or the same kind of a partner, difficult, and very, very stubborn, difficult, unable to see, you're unable to see where you're coming from. Or maybe your work partner is just mediocre. You are a visionary, and you have been put together with this person who is just mundane and mediocre, making you miserable. So you can change the outer circumstances, but more often than not, there is an overarching law, a law of karma there. That's why one sticks on to the duties, because that is where you have agency. And doing the duty at the cost of your disappointment grows you up spiritually, emotionally. One becomes fit to study the Gita, one becomes fit for moksha. Moksha is already has driven up in your driveway and is getting out of the car and waving to you. That is how close one is to moksha when one grows up as a result of a duty. This is the second benefit of doing one's duty. So this is how it is. One is the agency is in your hands, and the second benefit is that even if the other person does not do what is right by you, you are not a victim. You have risen above. You have grown despite them, not because of them, but despite them, you have grown. In fact, you can send all the difficult people in your life thank you notes very soon. Thank you, because of your presence in my life, I have grown. You can do that. So this is the spirit from which these 6-7 verses unfold. So let us look at the first one. where the concept of duty is talked about very clearly. If I can find the text in all this, yeah, here it is. Swadharmam cha Swadharmam api cha avekshya. Avekshya means having kept in mind, having kept in view, avekshya. Swadharmam api, also having kept in view what? Your own duty, swadharma. Na vikampitum arhasi. Kamp, to shake, to tremble. And here it's not to tremble or anything or to shake, but waver. So na vikampitum arhasi. You should not waver, O Arjuna. There should be no wavering. There should be no wavering at all. Why? Dharmyad hi yuddhat anyat shreyah. Dharmyad yuddhat anyat shreyah kshatriyasya na vidyate. Na vidyate, it is not there. What is not there? The yuddha, that is dharmika yuddha. Yuddha means a war. The dharmic war is not there for many people. One is not, it's not there for many people to enjoy. Very few people, and he's going to talk about this more in another verse in this particular section. Very few people, O Arjuna, have your predicament of knowing exactly what is the right thing to do. And having Bhagavan sitting, not that Lord Krishna must be thinking, not that I want to tout my own, my own virtues, but you have Bhagavan sitting and guiding you right next to you. Right in front of you is Bhagavan. And from the standpoint of dharma, you must not waver here in fighting this war. Because fighting a dharmic war is the Kshatriya's destiny on the day-to-day level. Is the Kshatriya's Purushartha. The Purushartha of the Kshatriya, the destiny of the Kshatriya is to fight a wonderful war. And here you are being given an opportunity to greet destiny and shake hands with destiny and right there. And it's an uncomplicated situation. There is no complication here. And that Duryodhana has even a fiber of dharma in him. Has been, that thought is not even worth entertaining, because guess what? He does not. And so none of the other people who are supporting them do, because they had the free will. Okay, they may not be as bad as Arjuna, as Duryodhana and Dushasana, but they had a choice. They could have come to your side, but no, here they are, the teachers, grandfathers, uncles, everybody on the other side. Shame on them. That doesn't make you need to waver in your commitment. That is their issue and their problem. Don't make excuses for them. Don't be codependent and try to enable their wrongdoing. Don't do that. Don't enable their wrongdoing. You focus on yourself. And what do you want as a Kshatriya? You want a righteous war. Usually there is always some kind of an obfuscation between right and wrong. And you don't know if you're doing the right thing, especially fighting a war. You don't know if it is the right thing at all. But still, you do it somehow, but somehow there may be some mixed up situations in many wars, especially in the modern day. They say they have smart bombs, and then they won't kill civilians, but many times civilians are targets. Innocent people shopping or going about their day. Children, men, women, children, they have nothing to do with this war. They are just trying to lead their life and pass the ego of two countries, and then they just succumb. They are flattened. And so this is those kinds of wars have some problems there. But here, this war here is so clear on what is dharma and what is adharma. What is dharma? You are on the side of dharma. Fantastic. And what is adharma? Them over there. This is a no-brainer, Arjuna. I don't understand your problem. This is a no-brainer. In fact, the Kshatriya would figuratively die to fight such a war. To die in such a war, the person would be dying to have this opportunity. And here the opportunity is presented to you on a platter, on a wonderful platter. And what are you doing? Hesitating and wasting time. And don't do this. And so Swadharmam api chavekshya na vikampitum arhasi. You don't need to waver here. You don't deserve to waver here. Because dharmyad yuddha, dharmyam is a word that is frequently used in the second chapter. Dharmyam means dharmat anapetam, not opposed to dharma, meaning it is dharmic. Dharmyad yuddhat shreya anyat, any other kind of accolades and for the kshatriya are difficult to find. It's not there at all. So, and see the word kshatriya also, kshatat trayate. Kshata means destruction. Trayate protects. The one who protects others from destruction is called kshatriya. And here is a war. You can protect this, all the people in this kingdom, your own praja, your own people you can protect because they are being ruled by terrorists and tyrants. This is a no-brainer. Get up, fight. I don't know what you're doing. And so this is the first argument in this, and the bhashya is very easy. Swaha dharmaha kshatriyasya yuddham tamapi avekshya tvam na vikampitum prachalitum. Prachalitum means being afflicted. Na arhasi. स्वाभाविकात् धर्माद् आत्म स्वाभाव्यात् इति अभिप्रायः. Meaning, one's own duty is swadharma. For the kshatriya, the battle is swadharma, one's duty. Considering this fact, you must be unswerving in your decision because it's a natural trait for you. And here you are presented with a dharmic war. And that is the very short bhashya. And then connecting it to the next one, he says, Tatah tatcha yuddham prithvi jayadvarena dharmartham prajarakshanartham cha iti dharmad anapetam param dharmyam tasmat dharmyat yuddhat shreyah anyat kshatriyasya na vidyate hi yasmat. And what is that? So, Prithvi Jayadvarena, such a battle, enabling this kind of a battle, dharmic battle. This kind means dharmic battle. So, which is Prithvi Jayadvarena, meaning enabling you to enabling you to establish dharma through being victorious over the kingdom. Prithvi here doesn't mean earth, it means kingdom. So such a battle which is enabling you to win back your kingdom. Dharmartham prajarakshanartham cha, in order to establish dharma in the kingdom and go away, take away the lawlessness. And then and make it conducive to the subjects, prajarakshanartham, to protect the people. And this is not opposed to the highest duty which for the kshatriya. There is nothing more virtuous than fighting this righteous battle. Therefore, you need to fight. Then he asks the question, Kutaha tat, kutaha cha tad yuddham kartavyam. Supposing Arjuna asks, what is this battle and why should I fight this battle? Tell me why I should fight this battle. Okay, this prajarakshanartham, so protecting the people, etc., is a very big talk. But why should I protect the people? What is in it for me? Verse number 32 talks about what is in it for Arjuna. He says, the Lord says, Yadrichaya cha upapannam swargadvaram apavritam. Yadrichaya means by chance, by a stroke of good fortune. What has happened by a stroke of fortune? Upapannam, you have got this. What? Swargadvaram apavritam. You're just passing by and suddenly the gates to heaven you find open with somebody holding a board. Arjuna, come in. They're open for you. You find that suddenly. You find that, and then usually the gates of heaven are tightly shut and locked. Indra has the key, and you don't have entry there unless it's already pre-booked and everything. With all your virtues and everything, it should be pre-booked. And so this is, but here the doors are already wide open. Even though you may live for another 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, doesn't matter, but the doors are already open with your name there. And so Sukhinaha means the Kshatriyaha, means those, Sukhinaha here means not happy, lucky. Lucky are those Kshatriyas. Labhante yuddham idrisham, that get this kind of a battle to fight. They are lucky. This doesn't drop into you. This kind of an opportunity does not just drop into your lap just like that. But it has in your case. And only good can come out of this, whether you look at it from the day to day or whether you look at it from the standpoint of the absolute. And so, therefore, why are you dilly dallying? Why are you hesitating? When we'll see the rest next time. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.